for taking the time out to join us this afternoon during what is an unprecedented time. Wanted to take a few moments just to lay out our goals for our time together today, and go over what the agenda is going to be for our dialogue today. One, you'll see on the screen now, and for those of you on the phone, I'll walk through this. We have three goals for today, and our three goals are: one, develop a sense of connectivity between our office and community, and particularly our community leaders. Two, give and garner information about the resources available for needed for community and available to community. And then three, create a shared moment of cooperative spirit. I know a lot of us have been locked in by ourselves, or just one or two other people, and just being able to connect with others in our community, I think, is healthy and wholesome for us all. We wanted to take that moment to be able to provide that platform. And so next, thinking about our agenda, thinking about how we meet those goals today. And so we're in our context setting and our welcome. We're going to, Councilmember Gauthier is going to frame the biggest issues that we're seeing during this time of the pandemic. Then we're going to do breakout groups. And so the technology allows for us, those of you who are in video, and even those of you who are on the phone, to break down in smaller groups. And so each group will be moderated by our staff. And we have a few guiding questions for you, just to get a sense of what you're hearing, what you're experiencing during this time, in ways that we could be helpful to you, and things that we may not be aware of that are happening or that are assets in the community. Then we'll all come back together. You'll be automatically brought all back together once we're done our breakout conversations, and we'll do a little report out from our staff. And so each one of the staff members will tell us what we've heard, given the guiding questions, and then we'll have an opportunity for our question and answers. And so for those of you who are just joining us, just so you know, during the time of the framing the issues in our welcome, we ask that you put your questions in the chat box. And then at the end, once we get past the report out, we'll open it up for Q&A for those on the phone and those on video. So we ask that you abide by this. We also ask that you remain on mute until we go into our breakout groups. That way everybody can have the same experience. We'll provide opportunities to answer questions. Lastly, I'll say on the bottom of the slide, you'll see two hashtags. If you are partaking in social media, if you take a picture of this chat and you post it on your Instagram, or you're on Twitter and you want to let folks know, we ask that you use the two hashtags that are at the bottom. One is VC Virtual John. That is V as in Victor, C as in Cat, Virtual John, as in very Philly John. And we ask you also to use Ask Jamie. This is an opportunity for you to have a direct connection to our council member. This will more than likely be the first of opportunities that we take like this. And so we'll be keeping this hashtag going. And so without further ado, I will hand it over to our illustrious council member, Jamie Gauthier.
Thank you so much, Erica. And hi again, everyone. My name is Councilmember Jamie Gauthier, and I represent the 3rd District. And I'm glad that even through the midst of all of this uncertainty and stress, that we can still find ways to come together. And I thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. This is a challenge unlike any other that we face as a community, as a city, and as a country. There are more questions than answers right now, and we're facing a lot of unknowns about what this will mean for our futures. But please know that my team and I are here to help you during this crisis. You can reach us during normal business hours every day at 215-686-0459, or you can email me anytime at jamie.gauthier@phila.gov. Before I launch into talking about the COVID-19 crisis and the city's response, I just want to take a moment to introduce my staff, who's also here with us. They will be moderating the breakout groups that we'll be having a little bit later on. So you heard earlier from my Chief of Staff, Erica Atwood. And then additionally on the call, on the conference, we have Stephanie Brown, our Director of Communications, Martise Coker-Clark, our office manager, who also does a lot of scheduling for me and for Erica, Andrew Goodman, our Director of Equitable Development, who handles a lot of housing and other equity issues in the office. Tariq Harris, our Director of Constituent Services, who is here to help with constituent needs. Tariq is also assisted in constituent services by Alexis Wright Whitley, our Constituent Services Liaison and Special Assistant. And we also have Max Weiss, who is our Director of Legislation and Policy. So they're my wonderful, wonderful team, and they're here to help you through this crisis as I am. So now I'd like to update you on where we are in terms of the city's response to the coronavirus outbreak and share what we know about resources that are available to residents. Since there's a lot to cover and we only have an hour together, I'm going to give you a general summary of the different kinds of resources available. Please know that there are more details on all of what I'm about to share with you in the resource guide that we created for our constituents, and we'll be sending the link to that around after this conference. So in terms of housing, it's the beginning of the month. We know that a lot of folks who have lost their jobs or who have found themselves supporting family or friends who've lost their jobs are concerned about making rent this month and moving forward. There is currently a freeze on all evictions and foreclosures through at least the end of April. We know that this is not enough. Folks are concerned about the bills that are piling up and that are becoming unmanageable. That's why my council colleagues and I have been pushing our counterparts in state and federal government to enact rent and mortgage moratoriums as well. And we'll keep you updated on progress that we make in that area as it happens. And if you're a homeowner and you're concerned about not being able to make your mortgage payments, you could also reach out to your lender directly. And you can also do that if you're a renter. You can reach out to your landlord. And banks are offering various forms of mortgage assistance programs now, loans and lines of credit. And we certainly hope that landlords too, in this time of struggle, are willing to work with people. Our local utility companies have also made changes to their policies in light of what's going on. PGW, PECO, and the Water Department have all committed to eliminating shutoffs until this crisis is over. Verizon, Comcast, AT&T, and Sprint are not charging late fees or terminating service during this time, and they're also providing additional data at no cost in most cases. If you have another provider, please reach out to their customer service to find out what their policy is. We've also been hearing from folks about needing internet access, especially in light of what's happening with our schools, which we'll get to a bit later. The two major internet service providers here in Philly, Verizon and Comcast, are both offering low-cost options for residents with limited income. Next, I'm going to tell you a bit about the public health response to this crisis and what medical resources are available. The city has a webpage, www.phila.gov/COVID, where they share all kinds of information related to the virus and the city's response to it. There is so much happening so fast with this crisis that trying to get information can feel a little bit like drinking from a fire hose, but this website provides a centralized place to get good, trustworthy information, and it's updated on a daily basis. So it's the best place to go to stay up to date on the latest developments. The number of coronavirus cases here in Philadelphia is growing rapidly. Every day, we're learning of hundreds of new confirmed cases, and people from every zip code in the city have fallen ill. And so this is why it's more important than ever that we stay home whenever possible. Last week, Mayor Kinney introduced what's called a stay-at-home order. And so all gatherings outside of the home are now prohibited. If you must go out for some reason, to work, to buy food, or to care for a friend or loved one, please practice social distancing by leaving at least 6 feet between you and anyone who lives outside your household. This is crucial to keeping our community safe. And frankly, I'm concerned about the extent to which folks are still not following this guidance. We've heard reports of people continuing to have basketball games or chess games in our local parks. And we've also heard that there are some issues with crowding or running on biking paths. And so we're encouraging the city to open more roads only to pedestrians and bikers to make outdoor activity safer. The city has also started removing basketball hoops in hotspot areas to discourage gatherings. I want to take a moment to explain why this is also critical. It's estimated that 25% of people who are carrying this virus don't have any symptoms, but they can still spread it to others, some of whom may only have mild symptoms, and others of whom may get seriously ill and end up in the ICU. The point is, we don't know how this virus affects each one of us, and testing is limited right now. So the safest way to get through this is to stay at home. If you're experiencing symptoms common to coronavirus, including a fever and a dry cough, you should stay home and rest. And if you're not getting better after 3 or 4 days, or your condition worsens, call your doctor and they may refer you to a testing site. For most of the city's testing sites, you will need a referral from a doctor. But there are now 2 city-run testing sites, one in Center City and one in the parking lot of Citizens Bank Park. The Center City site is by appointment only, and the other site is a drive-through. It's currently available exclusively to people above 50 and medical professionals experiencing symptoms. You can call this number, 267 491 5870, to get more information about both of these locations. As of right now, our hospitals are not at capacity, so you should seek help if you need it. No one will be turned away for lack of insurance or the ability to pay. On a related note, our city's hospitals also remain open to people experiencing other kinds of health emergencies. And again, if it's not an emergency, the best bet is to call your doctor before going to a clinic or to the hospital. So my team and I have been getting a lot of calls from folks asking about free meals and food supplies. The city is now providing free food for anyone facing challenges. No ID or proof of income is required. On Mondays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to noon, there are now 40 sites across the city where you can go and pick up a box with 5 days worth of food, enough for a family. There are several locations in our district, including People's Emergency Center on Lancaster Avenue and Christian Compassion CDC in Copps Creek. There are also over 50 student meal sites where any child can pick up free food several days a week. If you would like assistance locating a site near you, I encourage you to visit the city's website, to call 311, or to call our office. We're happy to help you. There are also a number of churches and community groups in West and Southwest Philly that are doing their own distributions. We're compiling details on these sites as we learn about them in our resource guide. For our seniors, PCA is sponsoring a number of meal pickup and delivery options at different locations around the city. The 2 closest to us are the Firehouse Active Adult Center and the West Philadelphia Senior Community Center. If you call either of them, they can give you further information on how to go about getting meals delivered to you. Next up is education. We know that the last several weeks have been very difficult on families, and we hope that there are some changes coming that will provide some structure and relief. Earlier this week, the school superintendent, William Height, announced that all K-12 schools will remain closed until further notice. The district is also launching a program to get laptops to every student who needs one, to level the playing field and make at-home learning more accessible. Your child's school may have reached out to you about this already, and there'll be more information in the coming days. The school district also is providing learning guides for students at all grade levels. Paper copies can be picked up at the student mill sites, and they can also be accessed online at philasd.org. I also want to highlight a few enrichment resources for young people that may be of interest. The Free Library of Philadelphia has all kinds of digital materials, including ebooks, movies, music, and much more that is free to access. You can learn more on their website at freelibrary.org. WHYY TV is playing educational programming for children from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily until further notice. You can view their full schedule at whyy.org. And finally, Read by Fourth is asking caregivers of young children to text Read by Fourth to 70138 for free information to build children's language and literacy skills. Lastly, I'd like to share some information that may help workers and small business owners who are struggling as a result of this crisis. We've gotten a lot of questions about the federal stimulus package, how it will work, and what it will offer us on the local level. So here's what it means for workers. Most adults will get a payment of $1,200. For every child 16 and under, the payment will be an additional $500, and most people will get their payments by April 17th. People receiving Social Security, disability, veterans, and unemployed people will also receive payments. The amount of money you receive depends on your income, but all single adults with Social Security numbers who have an income of $75,000 or less will get the full amount. Above this amount, the payment decreases until it stops altogether for single people earning $99,000 a year. You can't get payment if someone claims you as a dependent, even if you're an adult. In most instances, you need a Social Security number to be eligible, but there's an exception for members of the military. In terms of receiving the money, you'll receive it automatically if the IRS has your bank account information from prior tax returns. If your information has changed, the IRS will allow people to update their information, but the details on this haven't been shared yet. If you haven't filed a tax return recently, you will have to file a simple return to receive a payment. The IRS is expected to share more information on how to do this in the coming days. There are additional benefits for people facing unemployment or underemployment for coronavirus-related reasons. On top of state unemployment benefits, if you're unemployed, you will receive an additional $600 per week. This includes gig workers, freelancers, and independent contractors. If you have COVID-19 or need to take care of a family member that has it, and you lose your job as a result, you will also be covered by this benefit. The same goes for childcare. Long story short, if you've lost income as a direct result of this crisis, you are likely to be eligible for the $600 benefit per week. Okay, now I'll tell you a little bit about what the stimulus package means for small business owners. $377 billion is going to businesses across the country to prevent small businesses from going under due to this pandemic. And there are four main parts to this effort. The first part is called the Paycheck Prevention Program. This will provide loans to small businesses with fewer than 500 employees, as well as self-employed individuals and gig workers. The size of the loan will be equal to 250% of an employer's average monthly payroll, maxing out at $10 million. Covered payroll includes salary, wages, tips, healthcare benefits, retirement contributions, and paid leave. Loans are available through 800 different lenders, including banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions. And loans can be forgiven entirely if employers maintain their payroll through this emergency. The second part of this assistance is for entrepreneurs. The federal government is giving grants to local business centers to offer counseling, training, and other related assistance to affected small businesses. Next are emergency economic injury disaster loans, which allow businesses expedited access to cash through an emergency grant of up to $10,000. And finally, there's small business debt relief, which will require the federal government to pay all principal, interest, and fees on all existing small business administration loans to affected businesses for 6 months. The federal government is also providing tax credits for 50% of wages paid by eligible employers during the COVID-19 crisis. Beyond the stimulus package, we just have a bit more information for local and small businesses and people who may be facing unemployment. On the city level, folks should be aware that Philly's paid sick leave law has been expanded so that it can cover workers, so that covered workers can use their paid sick leave for COVID-19 related interruptions. including business closures and having to stay home with their children. Anyone who has lost their job can apply for unemployment and other benefits online using Compass, which is an online tool run by the state government. That is available at compass.statepa.us. There are also a number of essential businesses that are currently hiring in Philadelphia, and you can learn more about those on the council website, phlcouncil.com. For small businesses that have been forced to close or reduce operations as a result of this crisis, the city's Commerce Department has also launched the COVID-19 Small Business Relief Fund, which offers grants and zero-interest loans. The fund includes 3 programs: micro enterprise grants of $5,000 for businesses with annual revenue under $500,000, small business grants of up to $25,000 for businesses with revenue between $500,000 and $3 million, and zero interest loans of $25,000 to $100,000 for businesses with revenue between $3 and $5 million a year. Because of the high demand for the program, the Commerce Department is currently only accepting applications for micro enterprise grants at this time. We expect that the fund will be replenished, though, and that applications will reopen for all 3 programs. Beyond the relief fund, the Commerce Department has compiled some really helpful resources and tools on their website, and you can find that at phila.gov/commerce. This is what we know at the moment, but we do not expect for this to be the end. The stimulus bill also includes allocations for state and municipal governments to support vulnerable residents during this pandemic. And we'll be working with our partners at all levels of government to make sure that this funding is dedicated to the people who need it the most. So I think we'll leave it there. Like I said, this is really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what supports are out there to help people through this difficult time. I encourage you to check out our resource guide for more details. As I mentioned, we'll be sending that out after this conference. I also encourage you to follow us on social media. You can find us at Councilmember JG on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. And we're constantly sharing new information related to coronavirus relief. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Erica, who will share more about the small group discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. I hope everybody is rich with information at this point. And now we want to talk to you in our small breakout groups. And so Natalie on the team is going to break us out into groups. Each group will have a member from our staff in it. The council member and I will be bouncing around through the groups, and we have a few guided questions for you during this time. And so the questions are, as you're thinking about what you're going through right now, what your neighbors are going through, what are the priorities in your neighborhood? You heard the council member talk about the resources that are available. Are there resources in your community that you've seen that we didn't mention that you want to let us know about? And so what are we missing in terms of the resources? And finally, what do you and your community need? And so we know what your priority, we talk about your priorities, but what are some specific needs? If your priorities are food access, do you need it delivered, or do you know where it is? So those are the conversations that we want to have, and there's an opportunity to ask questions as well. So without further ado, we're going to break out for about 20 minutes, go run through these questions, and then we're going to bring you all back together. All right, thanks a lot. Natalie, I'll hand it over to you to break us out.
Sure. And just so everybody knows how breakout rooms work, if you are on your computer and watching this meeting, I'm going to automatically assign everybody into a breakout room, and a small prompt will appear on your screen asking you to join that room. So just join from there. If you're on the phone, it will automatically put you into a breakout room, so you don't need to take any action. And for the folks who are facilitating the breakout rooms, I'm going to create 5 rooms. If some of you end up in rooms where you shouldn't be and you can't move into other spaces, just come back into the main room here, and I'll put you into a different room. So that's how that'll work. So everybody just bear with us for a few minutes and we will get started. All right, so all the phone numbers are now automatically joined. And everybody else, you should be seeing prompts to join a breakout room. All right, and for anybody who's still in the main space here, you should be seeing a prompt that is asking you to join a breakout room. So please join that breakout room at this time. Hey, Chrissy.
Hey, I'm not sure if there was a facilitator in the breakout room I was just in.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know. We'll just give it a few minutes and see if some of the other team members come back out.
Sure.
Which breakout room are you in, just out of curiosity? If you don't remember, that's okay.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
Maybe it's 5? That's a good guess.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
We'll see who comes back out. Hey, Max. Oh, you're on mute. Oh, there you are. You're on mute. You're unmuted now.
Hey,
Hey.
can you drop me in group 2? Am I in group 2? Or-
Break 2? Yep. Breakout room 2? Sure.
Thanks.
Let me find where you are. Breakout room 2. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And if anybody is still in this space here, then you should be able to join a breakout room. There should be a button that you have to select join breakout room. So Nathaniel, Pam, and whoever is on Galaxy Note 8, you should be seeing a prompt asking you to join a breakout room. So if you click accept on that or join breakout room, it'll put you into a breakout room. Hi, I just saw someone, Kay Carter just joined. So we are doing some breakout rooms right now. So it should, there should be a prompt indicating that you should join a breakout room. So please join that. Oh, Betty, you're on mute. Give me 1 second, I'll unmute you. Hi, Betty.
Yes.
Hi.
Who is the facilitator for group 5?
For group 5, I'm not sure if let me see if we have anybody in there.
There's a bunch of folks in group 5.
Okay. Let me just give me 1 second and I'll find somebody to facilitate group 5.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to rejoin the breakout room, I'll send someone over in just a sec. Hey, Stephanie. Oh, you're muted. Are you here
Hey.
to join group 5?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me put you in there. Give me one.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you should be able to join group 5 now.
Okay. Not getting.
If you go to the More button at the bottom of the screen, is there an option to join group 5?
Join breakout room.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
There you go. And then whoever's on Galaxy Note 8, just a friendly reminder that we have some breakout rooms open right now. And so you should be able to join one of those. There should have been a prompt for join breakout room. If you're having any issues, feel free to unmute.
Actually, it looks like Galaxy Note 8 doesn't have a,
Oh, audio.
yeah. So maybe it's just someone's video that,
Oh, that could be, they could be connected on the phone. True. I don't know.
all right. Can you put me in a breakout room?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just trying to catch up on.
Sure.
all-
Do you have any preferences about who you want to join with?
No, why not, I'll go back in Stephanie's room and breakout 5.
Okay, cool. So if you click the little ... more button at the bottom of your screen, it should say join breakout room.
Oh, yes.
No worries. Hey, Kevin, if you can hear me, we have some breakout groups happening right now. So I've assigned you to breakout. Oh, there you go. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're just about to close all the other breakout rooms. We have about a minute left, so I'll be closing the room shortly. So all breakout rooms will be closing in 1 minute now. 53 seconds. Thanks to everyone who's just joining us again. All the breakout rooms will be closing automatically in about 30 seconds. So it'll just be another moment until we're all back in the space. All right, so all breakout rooms should be closed now and everybody's gonna be coming back into the space. I'm gonna mute everybody on the screen just so we can maintain control over the background noise. All right, everyone should be back in the space. So I'm gonna turn it back over to Team Gauthier.
Unmuting would help a tremendous deal. That would help a lot.
I do it all the time, Erica. I start talking and I say some really great stuff, and then I find out that I've been muted the entire time.
Woo. Fun times, fun times. All right, hey everybody, welcome back. And so want to hear from what were some of the themes that we heard in our breakout groups. And so we're gonna just run down the line. So who's my moderator for group 1?
I think that was me.
Yep. Andrew, what did you hear from your group?
So a few priorities that came up were safety was definitely one. Kind of public safety in terms of police presence and patrolling, but also kind of health safety. How are people getting the kind of the supplies as well as access to trusted information on that front? Food definitely came up for sure, as well as broader city services, especially now that we're facing a kind of longer closure even. How do city services and kind of residents access to city services stay maintained and on schedule? Some things, definitely some ideas that came up were around kind of a more united front and stronger messaging from government staff as well as elected officials, and thinking about how kind of we as a collective can be more present and more united about the importance of the kind of safety precautions that we all need to take in terms of, you know, physically distancing ourselves and disinfecting and all that sort of thing. And finding ways to kind of maintain hope and cut through some of the fear and misinformation that might be out there. There's a lot of sometimes conflicting information that can kind of sometimes do more harm than good. And so how are we finding new ways to reach people, especially those who might have pre-existing conditions where they might be especially nervous or fearful or just limited in terms of their ability to physically access resources that are important to them, and even might be so scared about COVID-19 that they're not getting their other kind of health matters addressed and taken care of as they usually might.
Great. Group 2, Max. Max, are you on mute?
I think my internet. I don't know if people can hear me.
And we're gonna go to group 3. Max, can you call in? Who's my moderator for group 3?
Is that me?
I think so.
Oh, my bad. So a lot of things that we heard were big priorities are our people are feeling really isolated. These are times where we want them to stay home, but a lot of our people are feeling really isolated away from the people that they're normally around. They are all rooted to finding different means of getting groceries. A big force in our breakout room was about seniors and how are seniors receiving information. How are they receiving resources? How are they getting deliveries? A lot of seniors don't have the ability to go online. They don't have the ability to come outside at all. So how are we getting our resources to our seniors? The PEC and other different organizations are not receiving enough food for order food boxes. So we would just want to make sure we get enough food distributed out to our district as much as possible. And also there are people who want to volunteer, people who want to help, want to give out the resources as much as possible. So just finding a way to collect all of our volunteers who want to assist and distributing them out to as many different people as possible. And the last thing that we had was also getting the translation of the resources into different languages, Arabic being one of them.
I wanted to add one thing. One of our wonderful group participants corrected a piece of information that was given earlier. So earlier during my presentation, I said that people who were receiving Social Security would need to do some kind of tax return to get their stimulus payment from the federal government. As it turned out, that rule that was changed as of yesterday, and folks who are already receiving Social Security will automatically get their $1,200 payment. So that was a useful piece of information that I wanted to share.
Great. Group number 4. That's Tariq and Sean.
Am I unmuted?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yes, we had a couple things. It was a great discussion. Main concern was people not taking this epidemic seriously. It's still business as usual. People moving around in the neighborhoods. The group wanted to know if there's any plan put in place that we can reach the people by flyers, sound systems in cars, and just getting the word out because people are still walking around like in groups and crowds and in the parks. How can we what's the plan that's going to be put in place for that? I know certain areas have been taking down basketball courts and nets. They haven't seen that in their areas yet. So what would it be the plan moving forward on that? Another concern was the elderly population. The elderly population, we feel that they're forgotten. Um, just basic necessities, food pickup, services. How can people get involved, and what would be the plan for getting information to this population? We talked about the public safety because right now the weather is ready to get warmer. Kids are not in school. A lot of streets are being closed down. What would be the plan in place for the kids to be safe in their neighborhoods?
Right, Rick, I want to just go back before we get too far from it, but one of the issues that was raised around the elderly was also around delivery to people that are in the homes, and how are we getting food to people who can't get out. And I guess there was a food program that was happening where near the bank where Philabundance was taking food to homes, but that there was some issue around having that deliveries, and so that was put to a stop. So wanted to just have some follow up on that, and then also around um, whether there are protocols or best practices that could be shared for organizations that are distributing food as it relates to social distancing, and making sure that people who are coming to receive things, whether it's creating a box or something like that, that there's some distance that can be laid out, and if there's any thing that can be posted related to that. It's something that we talked about. I'm sorry, Reek, go ahead.
Oh no, there's definitely was a major issue. Also brought up about certain construction things that's happening. When will the plan be in place for the inspectors to come back out? Because a lot of construction is being slowed down. Also talked about people that wanted to get involved. What could be a plan for people with the food distribution? Is there any funding or anything for freezers or refrigerators? Any help pertaining to that? Um, Also, just about the social distancing thing that Sean was talking about, setting up a protocol or some kind of script on how services should be. People should what's their expectations when they get there, because social distancing is being not done. And just basically was about the regular city services that what's active, what's not, and getting that information and out what's still open and what's not. I think that was pretty much it.
Group number 5.
Yep, that was me. So a lot of what we discussed has been mentioned already, but social distancing is a concern, both at bodegas. There's narrow aisles, lots of people inside, lots of people outside, just not really following the rules. How can that be adjusted, or what can be done about that? Also at the food distribution sites, one woman told us that folks are starting to line up. Distribution starts at 10, but people are lining up already at 8 a.m. And, for seniors, that's a very long time to be standing. So how are we getting those same resources to those folks? We also talked a lot about people in need who may not be online or easily accessible, in touch with their neighbors, as well as, a lot of interest in volunteering, and how do we match those two things up, and so that people can help and be helped. And finally, there was a concern about special needs students. K through 12 students are going to be getting Chromebooks if they need them, but there's been not a lot of discussion about what is happening for special needs students in this time. And it's especially difficult on their parents, and sometimes they're single parents, and sometimes they have more than one special needs student. So there was some concern about that as well. I think that's about it.
Great. And Max is on the phone. Max, can you give a quick debrief from group 2? Are you on mute, Max?
And Max, if you are on mute, if there's a way, if you're still also on your computer, if you can chat me which number you are, I can unmute you. Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll unmute, and then Max, once you start talking, I'll see what your number is, and then I'll remute everybody. Okay, here we go.
Sorry about that. Hello?
Yep, okay, so I'm gonna remute everybody. So Max, you're gonna be remuted. Sorry about that. So the joys of technology. All right, I'm gonna unmute everybody again, and then Max. 67216. I'm not seeing. Thank you to the team members who are chatting me Max's number. I'm not seeing that one.
Well, Natalie, let's just, if we can find him, let's just kind of move on to Q&A, and
Sure.
then we'll come back to him if need be. And so I know that we have a list of questions that you guys have been populating in the chat room. Additionally, I know that you all may have some questions in real time. Just want to figure out, get through some of those questions, or some of the broader or more repetitive questions to answer for you guys, and by me or the team. Where is the list of questions that came through on the chat?
Erica, I just sent them to you.
Via email?
In the chat.
Oh, there we go. Uh-huh. Look at that. Magic. Hey, Janice telling me I need access.
Okay, I'll give you access right now.
Bear with us, folks. Technology is our friend, apparently, allegedly.
Max, I just found your phone number and unmuted you. So I don't know if you want to share out from group 2 at this point.
Yeah, I can do that really quickly. Sorry for the technical difficulties on my end. So we talked about needing to find a way to get relief to tenants for the payment of rent, and also for homeowners for mortgage payments, and working with small businesses to identify the gaps that are left over despite the assistance being provided to small businesses from the federal government and at the local level. Thinking about ways in which local business owners, there was someone in our group who owns some industrial buildings, how can they get plugged in to help? There were concerns about the location of food distribution areas, and how can we have food delivered to seniors and others who are unable to leave their homes right now because neighbors can't show up and take extra boxes. That's just not permitted. And then just encouraging homeowners to call their mortgage companies now to work out a forbearance rather than wait until later in the crisis when there's going to be a tsunami of calls. And then just a general concern about food insecurity and whether and how to support organizations that distribute food to make sure that they don't run out.
Got it. And so just want to get to, we have a plethora of questions, but want to be mindful of time. We have about close to 30 questions. Some of them have some overlap, but what we will do, one is we will try and cobble these questions together and put a response together in writing for folks. And I'm trying to look through and see if there are some specific questions that we may not have covered in our conversations. And in that time, does anybody have any questions in real time that they want to pose to the whole group or that came to them since we've gotten out of the breakout groups? If so, use your raise your hand feature.
Raise your hand.
If you go into participants, you'll see the thing to raise your hand.
Okay.
And it looks like Betty has a question. Betty Ferguson.
All right, there you go. Miss Betty.
Nice to see the face behind the voice, and everyone. I've been getting questions from the seniors about thermometers. They're saying that a lot of them do not have a thermometer in their home. That's a part of preventative, prevention. And even if they were getting sick, and would that be a need? Is there a way we can get thermometers for our seniors?
I have not heard, but Lex or anybody else in the staff, have you heard anything about thermometers being available?
I personally have not. I know a lot of stores are still out, but I'm keeping my ears to the ground to where we can see a surge of more.
Ooh, I lost everybody. I'm like, how do I get back? But that was one of the community needs.
Okay. The city I know is also trying to set up a method for getting donations of mostly personal protective equipment, but perhaps, they might explore putting thermometers on that list. So we can certainly check to see if maybe we could solicit those from people.
Well, thank you for coming. I didn't see you come back on the screen.
How you doing, Betty?
I'm fine, thank you.
I have a question here from Sergio about people using public transportation, essential workers, or people going to grocery stores and pharmacies. Can we look into making public transportation free during a crisis? We have been in communication with SEPTA. We will definitely bring that question to their attention. I know that as of right now, because of the rear entry, on trolleys and buses, they are not collecting fares at all. It is only on the L and the sub, and I think regional rail, in which they are. But we'll have some conversations with them about the perspective on that and the equity in that.
Mm-hmm. I see that a gentleman named David Pickett has his hand raised as well.
Hey, David.
Hey, everybody. We just brought up senior getting food delivered to their house. I know the boxes the city are giving out, they're not allowed.
I think we lost you, David.
I think we lost you, but this is a question that we've heard a lot of. So I feel like I already know the question and the problem, which is that some seniors are finding it difficult to get to the general food distribution sites. I know that the city is trying to work on a partnership with Lyft, I believe, on getting seniors to the sites. I also think we should explore the extent to which we can mobilize volunteers to help get food to seniors. So that's something that I will bring to the managing director's office and see if we can find a solution. Additionally, we still have programs that like Meals on Wheels that are still functional. So it's trying to fill the gaps where seniors don't have access or aren't signed up for those delivery programs. Alexis, do you want to add?
If I could just interject real quick.
Oh, okay.
Now, there's volunteers there to deliver it, but the city will not allow us to deliver those boxes. And so right now are running low in the community food banks and stuff. So I heard a rumor that the city was working on a solution to seniors. Is that true, or?
Working on a solution with did you say with volunteers? I didn't hear.
No, to find a way for the seniors to get the boxes.
Yes, we are aware that this is an issue, but there's not a concrete solution yet. So it's still being worked on. The volunteers, I think, is a wonderful solution if we could set that up with the city. So I'll check on that. Alexis, do you want to add anything about that particular challenge?
I know there are 2 centers in West that are offering meals for seniors. One is the West Philadelphia Senior Center, and the other is the Firehouse Adult Center, I believe it's called. So the Firehouse is giving frozen meals to seniors and delivering them to folks. And the West Philly Center has grab and go meals, and I also believe are delivering meals to folks. And then the PCA helpline is also a resource, and I can put that number in the chat. So if seniors are eligible, they can be partnered with services where they can get meals for themselves.
And so I want to answer one more question. Are there any other hands raised? If not, I'll answer Virginia's question. It's about social distancing. So a couple things. I know that there are conversations happening about a social media campaign to get information and awareness to young people about the seriousness of this. And so know that it is something that folks are thinking about and something that is top of mind. Not only logistically is the city focusing on ways to deter and mitigate the gathering of folks, but they're also looking at ways, City Council and the Mayor's Office and the administration are looking at ways to reach people in languages and mediums in which they are most acutely aware And so with that, lastly, I just want to say, and we'll get this, so two things. One, you'll see that we have our resource guide. We will share this with you all. It will have the link to the resource guide in it. I don't know if you can, I don't think you can get to the link now, but we will be putting this up with the recording of this, as well as the entire presentation, and we'll have additional information in the presentation from the council members' remarks. And just know that if you want to get in contact with us and have questions, you'll be able to fill out a form with additional questions here, or feel free to reach out to our office directly. And to close this out, I'm going to hand it back to our council member for the final words.
I just want to thank everybody for participating, for taking your time to do so, for sharing so much about the experience that's going on right now in your communities, and for sharing so much useful information with the group. This is the first of probably more meetings like this as we go through this crisis and are not able to gather in person. And I look forward to seeing you next time too. And feel free to reach out to us for anything that you may need as we continue to go through this as a community. Thank you very much.